Everyone, we'll get started in a couple of minutes. Just wait for a few more people to come on. We had about 72 register, and we've only got 32 at the moment, so I'll give it a couple more minutes and then we'll get started with everything. But I'll just explain at the start, because of the high numbers of people that have booked on the webinar, it's not going to be as interactive in that you can't ask questions verbally, which is why we've asked people to pre-submit questions beforehand. So the structure of it will be that we'll go through each of the questions that we've asked. Each question will come up on a PowerPoint slide, and then we'll explain the answer to you. You should see in the right-hand side, you've got a chat pod. So if you have any other questions related to what we're saying, you can put them in there. Paula and I will try and respond to them if we can. If you don't get a response to the questions via the chat, just follow up with us after this in an email and we'll get back to you. All of the questions and answers are going to be put on an FAQ document, which will sit on the England Athletics website. So you'll be able to get all of that information after that. So we've got a few more join now. So I'll just introduce myself, which I should have done right at the start. I'm Nikki English. I'm Officials Development Officer at England Athletics. And Paula, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Paula Gowing. I'm Officials Manager at UK Athletics.
Cool. Does someone want to just type in the chat box that they can hear us, just so we know for definite that people can hear? Fab, that's great. Okay, so we will get started. Like I said, if you have any questions while we're going through, put them in the chat box. We might not be able to reply, or we might not have the answer straight away, but just follow up with us in an email if there's anything that doesn't get answered. So I'm going to do the first bit of the webinar, which is more generic questions around accreditation and questions mainly aimed at level 1 and level 2 officials. And then Paula's going to do the second half, which are questions that have been submitted, which are more aimed at level 3 and level 4 officials. Some of the questions we received were quite similar. So if it isn't your exact question, that's why that you've submitted. But we should be able to give an answer to you regardless. So we'll get started. Question 1. Is there a requirement to complete my health and safety course every 3 years? At the moment, there's no requirement to complete your online health and safety course every 3 years. Your licence renews every 3 years in line with your DBS. And it's also recommended that you change the photo on your profile every 3 years. That's just a recommendation. After 5 years, if your picture hasn't been changed, Trinity will automatically exclude you from the licence being sent out. So it definitely needs updating every 5 years, but it's recommended every 3 years as well. Can I still attend a health and safety course as a face-to-face course? So we don't deliver any face-to-face health and safety courses anymore. They're all delivered online. Anybody can access the online health and safety course. It's a free course, and you can do it as a refresher even if you've completed a face-to-face health and safety course in the past. How do I obtain my certification for level 2? So we had quite a few questions submitted around this for different disciplines. First of all, your record of experience. So we should see a minimum of 10 experiences, 4 of which could be the ones that you've used from your level 1. Just a point around the record of experience, that we get quite a lot of people submit their level 2 record of experience without any information included in the what I have learnt section. And it's really important, if you're submitting your paperwork for level 2, that all that information in the what I have learnt section is filled out too. Because when we send the paperwork to the assessors, they look at the what I've learnt section as part of the assessment. We're doing some new logbooks at the moment, and the hope is that they'll go online, and they do provide examples of the kind of information that can be put into the what I've learnt section. But if you do have any other queries around that, either drop myself or Paula an email. Next thing is to complete your discipline-specific questions, which can be found on the UK website. We will put the link down in the chat function. All of the paperwork for upgrading sits on the UK website. And then finally, you need a report from an official of the same discipline who has been level 3 for at least 2 years. We've got a few more questions coming up further about how you know who your assessor is and who does the report. So we'll go into that in a bit more detail a bit later on. The only difference is that for field on your report, we need to see evidence of long throw and that you understand the long throw protocol. But that's the only difference between the disciplines. How do I know who the assessor is for my level 2 paperwork? So this is another common question that we get. Normally, the person that assesses your level 2 questions and your record of experience is the tutor of your level 1 course. That's not always the case. If you did a course quite a long time ago, that person might not be tutoring still. If you don't have the details of your level 1 tutor, you can contact your county official secretary who might be able to help, or you can email it directly to me on the accreditation email address, which Paula will put into the chat box if any of you don't have that, and I can send the paperwork directly to the assessor. How do I know who the assessor is for my level 3 paperwork? So for your level 3 paperwork, this gets assessed by the tri-regional group. So we have tri-regional groups in the Midlands and South West, South and North. We do have details of the contacts for each of the tri-regional groups that sits on the England Athletics website, and we will put those details into the chat box. So again, you can send the paperwork directly to them, or if for any reason you can't find those details, you can send them to me and I will send them to get assessed by the tri-regional group. So a bit of a longer question. I want to become a level 2 starter, but I need a level 3 starter to do a report at a meeting. But there are very few level 3 starters in the East, higher level comps, and they won't have a starter. How can I find a starter and a comp where I can get a report? So specifically for starter and starter's assistant, the peer group are looking to put together a programme to support starters and starter's assistant. So ideally it would be arranged at a local level, but if you're struggling to find events and starters, if you email me and I can contact Moira Gallagher, who is the chair of TAG, she can put you into contact with the peer group who will support you with finding competitions and people to do your report for you. Next question. I have my meetings from 2018, which I would like to include in my record of experience to help me move up to level 2 starters assistant, because I was not able to do much in 2019 due to other club commitments. Is it acceptable to use experiences from 2018? It's absolutely fine to use experiences from 2018. All I would say is that in your record of experience, the assessor would also be looking for more recent experience as well. So if you can get more recent ones than 2018, that's great, but it doesn't matter that some of them are from 2018. I can see a few people posting saying that they can't hear us. Just as a reminder, all of this information is going to go onto an FAQ document, which will sit on the website after. So if anyone's having problems, that information will be posted after. So let's move on. Why is it so difficult to get an upgrade as a field official? Colleagues who are track or timekeeping are moving up through the grades very quickly in comparison. So what I would say is that there's no difference in terms of the process for people upgrading to level 2, whatever the discipline, apart from, as I mentioned earlier, field need to demonstrate that they're competent in long throw and understand the long throw protocol. And obviously, if you're going down the route of starters and starters assistant, you need the 10 experiences for starter and the 10 experiences for starter's assistant. If you're looking for someone to do a report on you, the ideal place is county champs. So normally you would email the person who has invited you to that event and ask them if there's someone there that could do a report for you. What I would say is if you've already tried this and are struggling to get kind of local support, email me and I'll see what I can do to help you with that. But ideally, it should be arranged locally. And like I said, county champs is a good place to get the report. For a level 2 official to progress to level 3, they need to obtain at least one positive report from a high graded, preferably level 4 national official when officiating at regional level or above. Bearing in mind that sometimes the area championships are at the beginning of the season, June, what other meetings would be considered? When level 2 officials complete their availability in February, they may not have the necessary experience to progress to level 3 to request a report, but 4 or 5 months on, some cases they've done more meetings and it may be ideal situation. So on the next slide, I'm just going to put up some of the examples of places you can get a report for level 3. I'll leave these up on the screen for a while, but like I said, you will be able to find this information afterwards. And what I would say, it's also being put into the new logbooks that people receive when they book onto their level 1 courses, so it should be easier to find. The other thing I would say is that the age group area champs are normally in August, so that's a good time to try and do it, or indicating to the tri-regional secretaries that you're keen to progress so they can keep in touch with you. So again, we'll post the details of the tri-regional secretaries there, and if you get in touch with them, they should be able to support. But like I said, these are just some of the examples that you can get your experiences and get a report for level 3 upgrade. New UK rulebook says the 2 officials' appendices 2 and 3 have been removed from the rulebook and located on the UK website. However, these don't seem to have made it there. Any idea when that will happen? As soon as it's they're currently being reviewed, and as soon as they have been reviewed, they'll be put on the website, and we can keep you updated on when they're there. The other thing that I would say is next Tuesday we're doing a webinar which Peter Crawshaw, Tim Souter and John Temperton are delivering around changes to the new rule book and the implications for officials and the application of those new rules. So Paula should be able to post a link in the chat function to that webinar, so you can book on that if that's something that's of interest to you. But like I said, if not, you'll be able to access it on the FAQ document. So options for individuals who are looking to use 2020 as the year to upgrade, what are they? As a COFSEC, I'm extremely concerned about retention, getting officials back on track. Athletics is going to be the last thing on their mind. So I'm not going to go into the upgrade in too much with level 4 at the moment, because Paul is going to discuss that in her section. Level 1 to 3s, it will remain as normal at the moment. There's not a huge amount of experiences you need to progress to level 2. So safety wise, we wouldn't look to say that you could submit with less experiences, because for safety reasons we need to see those experiences. And it will just be a case of getting them once the season restarts. And I guess around the retention, there are going to be people that drop out of athletics or officiating after this. And it's just trying to keep engaged with them throughout this period. So England Athletics are looking to put on different webinars for officials, and also put resources on the officials at home page, just to keep engaged, keep in touch with people, and that's what I'd recommend. So I think we're done with my section now. And we're going to move on to Paula, who is going to speak more about level 3 and 4 upgrades and officials.
Good evening, everyone. I hope that you found the first half of that quite useful, and hopefully I'll be able to help you out with some of your other questions that you've answered. Sorry, that you've asked. Just need to bring down the PowerPoint slides a sec. I can't do it. Okay. So the first question for me, if due to the current pandemic, there were no more officiating opportunities this season, would it be possible for officials to be assessed for and awarded upgradings based on a combination of their past performance, expectation and mentor assessment? I understand that a similar system will be used in lieu of school examinations. Well, we will make, adjustments for level 4 this year so that reports can be used for, can be counted for another year. But candidates will have to wait until next year to apply if they don't have the reports to do that in 2020. For the other levels, the minimum numbers of meetings to qualify, say, for a level 1 or level 2 they're quite low anyway. So without these experiences, it wouldn't be sensible to do so. The other point, I guess, as well, is not all officials have mentors, and there's not always a great amount of evidence of past performance. We do have the record of experience, but it just details such a small amount of meetings for the level 1 and the level 2. There is no comparison with the school examination system, really, because teachers obviously get to see their students on a daily basis. They do things like assessments and they get to know their students really well, and we just don't have that kind of information on each official to be able to do that. So moving on, it's my system there is really slow to click the slides forward. Next question. Have I gone? Sorry, it's jumped, hasn't it? Just having some technical difficulties here, a second. Okay, sorry about that, Pete. How are we going to get on this year? As most will not get 20 meetings in their record of experience, and especially those that are trying to upgrade. So nobody that's already on the active list, level 4, will not be removed from the active list for not doing 20 meetings. If someone is aiming to upgrade to level 4 in 2020 and has all their reports, they will be able to submit them. So they might, if competition gets going later this year, they may well be able to get the required number of reports and submit this year in 2020. So they could submit 2018, 2019 and 2020 to show sufficient meetings. Meetings attended prior to obtaining level 3 don't count, but generally it takes around 3 years to move from level 3 to level 4 anyway. And that is why when you're moving up to level 4 that we use 3 years to count for that. Okay, so moving on to the next question. I'm a level 4 field official and have attended the management award course 3 years ago now, and I've had no opportunity to progress along the pathway. What is lacking is a programme or team anyone attending the management award course to a mentor and enable us to shadow at appropriate level meetings. Are there any plans in the pipeline to do this. Now, the best way to do that is through your tri-regional secretary or national secretary in Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland. They are sent attendance lists for people in their area so that they know who have attended a level 4 course, and then they would try and get them opportunities. However, we would suggest that officials contact their tri-regional secretary or their national secretary to express an interest in management roles, and that it is best to be proactive, really. Okay, I'm currently a level 2 track official working towards being a level 3. My understanding is the requirement for level 3 is a further 10 experiences, mentoring and a report. I'm looking to get the most appropriate best practice experience rather than just meet the requirement. Is there any advice on the range of duties undertaken, type of events, etc., that would constitute best practice? What we would say there really is the need to officiate a wide range of meetings as possible: league, open meetings, county champs, area or home country champs, and also some disability events. Obviously, it depends on which part of the country you're in and what is available to you. There are also possibilities including things like YDL finals or the British University Championships. What we would suggest is to try and contact referees in advance of the competition and explain that you want to progress, and then you can see if it's possible to get a good range of duties. So for track, we would also suggest maybe doing some lap charts, so get as much practice as you can on lap board and bell, and the ones that are really challenging are some of the longer distance events like the 5,000 meters, where you might have athletes that are being lapped. So obviously that's more difficult and more challenging to record. You would benefit, we suggest, from having a mentor, and if you don't currently have one, you're either your county official secretary or your tri-regional secretary within England, or national official secretary within Wales, Scotland and Northern Ireland, maybe to help you to find one. There is currently a 3-year period to collect 6 experiences. Will this be extended for the period where no competitions are taking place? So I'm assuming this is, if this is to progress to level 2, which I'm assuming it is, then you simply continue to get experiences when your athletics restarts. There isn't any time limit for level 1 to level 2. If it is for level 4, although it's saying 6 experiences, so I'm guessing it's level 2, then we were allowed to count reports for an additional year, as explained earlier. So moving on to next question. Would going on a level 1 course and gaining level 1 accreditation for another discipline, for example, field, help towards progressing up the levels in your main discipline? If so, are there any suggestions at the most appropriate timing relevant to levels 2 and 3, etc.? What we would probably say, it's by doing another discipline, obviously you would have to be doing more experiences and gathering experiences in that other discipline. Therefore, it's likely to be that you would end up progressing through your main discipline maybe a little bit slower than you would do ordinarily, because you have to use experiences in your discipline. You can't use them for another discipline. So if you were doing field and track, you can't count any of your track ones in your field experiences, for example. So that's one thing to consider. But you know, quite often it could be that clubs need their officials to be qualified in more than one discipline. So therefore, that would be something that it may be a reason you want to consider doing that. We would also say that it would, if you do multiple disciplines, it would give you a good overview of an athletics meeting, rather than just focusing on one discipline, which might benefit you in the long term. But that really is personal choice. Okay. Cool. Okay, so the next question. The meeting requirements for clerk of course and chief referee seem to be fairly high level and may be difficult to get appointed to. Can you confirm the types of meetings suitable for each? Explain how candidates get the appointments needed. What level of equipment is reasonable required for the clerk of course report? It says suitable attire equipment. So if we look at county championships, for example, there's a full range of events and officials, and they're good level of meeting to work as a clerk of course or chief or referee. But equally the area championships, so the North, South, and the Midland championships, or the home countries, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland championships are also good ones. What we would suggest is that you would need to let the meeting organisers know you're interested in upgrading and ask if you can carry out these roles for experience. Firstly, probably with a mentor, so somebody guiding you through, and then possibly the following year you could ask for a report. Your tri-regional secretary or your home country secretary, if you're in any of the other home countries, should know that you require appointments, because we assume that you would have told them that. So we suggest it's always good to be in contact with your tri-regional or home country secretary if you are interested in progressing and you are looking to get reports. You should be able to, in terms of equipment, you should be able to use the equipment that's provided at the stadiums. Certainly if it's something that's quite new to you, and so in your early days of doing those roles. We do have some officials that are really into the technical side, and they have all sorts of equipment, some that they design themselves and some that they get from other places. So you may, if that's an area that you decide that you want to work in, it may be something you decide to add later, but you can discuss that with your mentor. So moving on to the next question. I would like to know what is going to happen to officials who are in the second season of completing their level 4 qualification. If we are able to get the required number of meetings and reports in towards the end of the season, hopefully, and or indoor season, could we submit the qualification in the early part of next season, or do we need to wait until the end of the season in 2021 to send in the application? Obviously, we don't quite know what's going to happen in terms of when the competition may start back up again, so that may have an impact this season. If an individual can get their reports completed this season, even if it's a little later into September, October, then we can look at having some flexibility on the submission date. I guess the issue is there's not really any advantage to be gained by dealing with applications in, say, January, so early 2021, as the selections for the outdoor meetings would have already been done because they take place in early January. So the earliest that a candidate could be considered for an appointment at a national event would be in the 2022 indoor season. So I think that answers that one. And then the final question that I have is, please can you confirm the experiences required at each level to progress within starter and starter's assistant? So firstly, at level 1, it's a minimum of 4 experiences, but that is in both disciplines. So if you wanted to become a starter and a starter's assistant, so you wanted to qualify in both disciplines, you would need 4 as a starter and 4 as a starter's assistant. In order to qualify as a starter, you have to qualify as a starter's assistant as well. If you just wanted to be a starter's assistant, then you would just need to do the 4 starter assistant experiences. At level 2, it's a minimum of 10 of each discipline, 4 of which can be those that were used for level 1. So really that's an additional 6. At level 3, it's an additional 10 experiences. And at level 4, it's 30 experiences. So I hope that clarifies that for you. So I think that's it. I'm just going to pass you back.
That was missed out on your section.
Which one was it, Nikki?
Let me get it up. This one.
Do you know what number it was? What number are we on?
That was number 13.
13. Okay, sorry, there was a technical issue because I couldn't get it. It was jumping. Okay, so we'll jump back to that one. I'm in my second year as a level 4P, and I'm wondering if the suspension in athletics will have an impact on my upgrade to level 4. I've already officiated at the British Indoors this season and remain on the list as a field judge for the recently moved British Athletics Championships in August. So the answer to this question is that you are already a level 4 official, and the P designation is really, it's there to help in the early stages of you becoming a level 4 official. So for those first 2 years, and I guess in a way you can kind of look at it as sort of P plates that you put on once you've passed your test. Your driving test. So hopefully that should help to answer one a little bit for you.
Fab. I think that's all the questions that were submitted. There might have been people that submitted one really late on in the day that hasn't been picked up. Hopefully not. But if there is, please email me. I'll put my email address into the box now. Please drop me an email and let me know, and I'll come back to you separately. For those that might have joined a bit later on, like I said, all of the questions and answers from tonight's session are going to be put into an FAQ document that's going to sit on the England Athletics website. And I've put in the chat box the page it will sit on. So England Athletics have got set up a new page for all the activities that's going on throughout this period of inactivity, and officials have got their own section. So it will sit on there initially, and then it will get moved on to the main England Athletics page. So if you have missed anything this evening, please look at that. It will be put on at the beginning of next week, early next week. So I'd just like to say a massive thank you for all of you for booking on. I hope you found it useful. The other point to mention is there is a document being put together for level 4s about the process around reports and when you can submit things. So this will also sit on the England Athletics website as well. Look after yourselves, have a lovely evening and nice bank holiday weekend. And like I said, if there's anything more, please drop me an email or Paula an email after this. Okay, have a nice evening.
Have a good evening, everyone. Thanks for listening.
Thank
Bye.
you.